All right. Here we are live. Awesome. Welcome to our weekly JP Live. I have another awesome guest tonight to share the gospel, the good word. We're gonna talk a little bit about what goes on in core competence um, and how we help students and people of all ages and all needs. But I wanted to actually on a serious note. In my local community here in Vermont, we've had two tragic deaths in the last week. Two young people, unfortunately, taken, one in a car accident and one in an ATV accident. And so, just really tragic. I know both families. It's a small community. And so, I know a lot of people will be watching this who might be from my home community here in Vermont. And so, if I can, I would just like to take a moment of silence, and then we can go on. Okay. I know silence isn't necessarily a friend of airtime, but I think it needed that space, and I needed to do that. So thank you. And I know actually you're not necessarily a stranger to the topic of death yourself, because you are a single parent. Is that right, Rachel? Can you introduce yourself and give us a little bit of context as to like how you came to be working with Onward Rising?
Okay, so my name is Rachel Brooks. My son, Henry Cohen, um, has always struggled with everything: life, decision making, school, appropriate behavior, aggression, all of those things. He did have two parents until a few months after he turned 18. His father died, and um, it was before his high school graduation. But luckily, he was already done with his coursework. But it because I think, not luckily at all, but luckily because I don't think that he probably would have made that last semester had he had a last semester to do, because of, I don't know, I call it ADHD paralysis.
Yeah, task
And I
paralysis.
think,
It's a thing.
yeah, and I think it would have just been too difficult with the grief. So
Yeah, the grief is
yeah.
such a powerful, overwhelming feeling that can just kind of totally consume. So tell me a little bit about like before, while he was in high school,
Mhm.
like you're kind of painting a picture of someone who just kind of got by. A lot
He
of
did.
supports. What was he? What kind of a school was he
Sure.
at? What was that like?
Okay, we actually moved to where we live in Indiana now because we lived on the East Coast and we could not get him into one of the like 50 private schools in the town that we lived in, because he
Wow.
had been kicked out of three preschools for
Huh,
fighting, for throwing things.
huh.
He didn't know his whole alphabet yet, so they didn't think he was ready for kindergarten. So we actually moved where we were, just hoping that a slower Midwest pace would. Um, you know, Focus him a little. Life was difficult. He had to have a paraprofessional with him: kindergarten, first grade, second grade. By third grade, he had outgrown the need for that, but he was not an easy child at all. There were IEPs and psychological testing. And prior to kindergarten, we sent him to a program called Brain Balance to help him integrate both sides of his brain, because we hoped that that would help him. And it did, because he didn't need a paraprofessional after third grade. But I think a lot of it came with the struggle to do things because of the ADHD, made him aggressive because he was had some anxiety about the fact that he wasn't as good as everyone else,
Mm.
which
Some
wasn't true.
insecurity.
Right. But
Yeah.
once he started to catch up in things, and got to reading level by third grade, some of that went away, but he
Mhm.
still had a lot of trouble um, being friends with the other kids in his class. And there was always only like one or two friends ever. So there was one friend from kindergarten through eighth grade. And then after that, in high school, he had two, three
Mm.
friends.
Mm.
And
And
that
then
was his
after high
friend group.
school, I mean that probably sent him into the void a little bit then, huh?
Sure did. So he finished high school in December, and was going straight into welding school, which happened to be like a week after his father's death. but he did complete welding school. He completed high school with a 1.98 GPA. I
Wow.
couldn't get him to take one test over to try to bump it
To
up.
get a two, he
Right.
didn't
I was like,
care. He
just
wanted
get
the
a two. If
diploma.
you ever decide
Yeah.
to go to college again, at least you'll
Yeah.
have a two.
Yeah.
But I said, we're just going to tell people you had a two because you
Yeah.
would round that to a
It's a
two
rounding
anyway.
issue. Yeah, totally.
Right. But yeah, so he squeaked by with a 1.98, a 2.0, whatever, and then went to welding school, and something clicked in welding school for him a little bit because he has these panic attacks, and they're not a lot like some kids do. It really is rare. And lucky for me, he calls me when he has those. So he was in welding school first night, second night, I don't remember what it was, and he's like, this is ridiculous. I can't do this. I said, so walk out. And he goes, what do you mean walk out? I said, go take a break. I said, you don't smoke, but take like a cigarette break, like go
Yeah.
outside for 5 minutes and breathe.
Yeah.
And he goes, you can't just do that. This is school. I said, this is adult school, sweetheart. You can absolutely do that.
Yeah.
But like he didn't understand that he could do those things. And once he realized like he's in charge of his adult education,
Mhm.
the teachers don't get to tell him what to do.
Yeah.
He does what he wants to do. That kind of
Yeah.
helped him focus through welding school, and he worked really hard there and did really well. So of course
Awesome.
he came home from the final exam and said, I didn't pass. I know I didn't pass, because that's
Yeah.
that self-doubt.
A negative
And
self-talk. Yeah.
yeah, and
And
that has been him through his whole childhood.
hmm. So
So
when okay, he graduated high school, he somehow willed himself through welding school,
right,
yet probably didn't fully process the grief. It was probably still
right,
latent because he suppressed it and went right into welding school.
right.
So what surprised you then? Like what happened when the schooling stopped and it was time to then authentically move into that adulthood phase?
Yeah, there wasn't any. So he was gifted a trip to Asia and refused to go. He went on job interviews but didn't get any and did not work the whole entire year. Um, so he spent his gap year pretty much gap yearing in bed.
Playing
Yeah.
playing video games or just like
Sure,
falling
of
into a
course,
depression?
because ADHD kids will play video games like nothing else.
Yeah. Well, it
Yes,
gives them exactly what they need. It's just that dopamine. It's
dopamine.
like the slot machine, just ding, 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 and they can just sit there all day long because it's going to keep refilling that leaky bucket that they have
Right.
for dopamine, serotonin.
Yeah. Didn't
But
spend much time downstairs with the family,
yeah,
you know. Did stay on top of, hygiene, but nothing else. Um,
yeah,
Chores were still an issue.
that's really rough, because I mean, I don't know. I'm a parent myself, and you think about your kid gets to a certain age, and then they move on with life, and you kind of have not that you don't love them, but it's time, right? They're adults. Like that's what you're doing. Your whole life, you are
Right,
preparing them to become adults. That is your hope. Is that I've done the right job as a parent to prepare
right,
you to thrive in life, and obviously that was a struggle. And then you add the layer of grief on top of it, and also putting
right.
you into a position of having to become a single parent all of a sudden. So what what became of your relationship with him? How did that change as it moved into this other layer?
Okay. So we help. I don't know what word I'm looking for. He definitely had a really close relationship with me. And so I think that was good. And as he's gotten older, he will listen. You don't think he's listening or paying attention or taking your advice, but he does hear it and will use it when he wants to. Um, but it was getting frustrating because
Mm,
I said, listen, you're 19. You can live at home. I don't care if you live at home for like a bunch more years, but you
mhm,
need to get a job and you need to pay
mhm.
and you need to get a
Yep.
driver's license because he didn't have that yet either.
Yeah.
And you need to just help out like without being asked, and you need to pay rent. I wasn't going to make him pay like 100, $200,
It's
but
just
something
a
to get
matter
him
of
towards that adulthood.
skin in the game. Totally.
Right.
Yeah.
And he just
What
couldn't get anywhere.
yeah, so what did you see about Onward Rising? What got you reaching out?
So I said to myself, there has to be a program that helps these kind of kids get something to move them forward. You can't just be stuck forever.
Yeah.
So I looked into like camp programs, wilderness programs, anything that I could find. A lot of them were faith based, so that was a little bit of a challenge for us. And I just wanted somebody that was going to focus on what would work for him to get him out of his slump, is what I was calling it. I don't
Mhm.
know what else to call it. Uh, and so you guys came up on Facebook maybe as an
Probably.
ad, and that was it. I was like, okay, let's see. I
God
watched all
bless
your
the meta
parent
algorithms.
videos.
Thank you, meta algorithms. Yeah.
I watched all your parent videos and the kids talking about how it helped. And I said, you know what? Um, Doing it. Like, let's
Yeah.
just anything at this point, anything has to help.
And
So
when you
I
first
just,
came into it, you had said to me, um, I really hadn't dealt with kids that were out of high school at that point in our program. I mean, I've been mentoring kids, people, young people for a long time, but in specifically in core confidence, and you really opened the door for me. I want you to know that you guys really opened the door for me because I was like, yeah, why am I stopping the support at 18? There's kids who didn't get that support, and then
right.
they went into adulthood, and they still need
They're
it. Otherwise,
still in their mom's basement.
yeah, they're not going to thrive if they don't figure it out somewhere. So
Right.
you actually you guys were an inspiration for me, and we have something now called Core Ascend, which is it's our same curriculum, but the cohort is specifically those 19 to 25-year olds, so that because uh, Henry, and we'll talk in just a second, he made some fast growth and did
Yeah.
really well. Um, but he was in there in a group with kids that were high schoolers, and I have to imagine that being in there with a group of young emerging adults could have really given him another anchor of something to hold on to, and also they could have encouraged each other. So that's what we've done, and we're really enjoying the Ascend program as a new addition to what we're doing. So thank you for the inspiration to make a move on that. Um, Talk about, I mean, there have been some powerful statements made in testimonials and in WhatsApp chats. We
Yeah.
had a parent that was basically doubting in the WhatsApp chat, doubting what the power of the program
And
could
then
be.
I said, it's the best money I've ever spent on my child, ever.
Yeah, yeah. So
And was
why do you?
ready to throw the next kid in, but she's
Yeah,
okay. She'll be all right.
she wasn't needing it as much.
No.
But why do you say that? Oh, tell me more. Like I know in my heart why you're saying that, but please share it with the audience why you're saying that this is the best money you've ever spent. What happened?
Well, so I'll tell you, I think the way the group was set up actually worked it to his advantage being one of the older kids because he got to feel like he was the head of the class,
He's
and
a
he
leader.
he,
Yeah.
he right, a leader, exactly, that's the word. And I think he felt like he had to put in some effort and guide the class along. And
Mm,
he's always been one thing he's been really great at his whole life is self reflection, which is not common for lots of people. But
yeah.
that was one thing that
Especially not
was
if you have
good.
some
So,
neurodivergencies. That's hard to do.
right. But Sharon must have brought out what exactly he needed um, to be able to feel like the leader and communicate in every class that he was in and talk. And sometimes he would say, I led that class today, or I did all the talking today. Um,
Good. He felt some pride.
he did. And
Yeah.
I enjoyed it and took notes. My child wrote with a pen and took notes. Like that book was filled.
Yeah, that's
Um,
amazing.
yeah, but so he did some amazing things in your class. Whatever was going on in the class that I didn't get to see, unfortunately, because I would really love to be the fly on the wall to watch
Yeah.
these kids change and develop because it was drastic for us, and it
Give me
was
some
drastic.
examples of what was drastic. What happened?
Okay, so first it was he never missed a class in the beginning. Like he was there on time every Tuesday, Thursday. And every day he would come downstairs. The only time I'd see him, Tuesday and Thursday morning at 10:58, he was downstairs and in the office and on the computer.
Awesome.
And he didn't want to miss and he enjoyed coming and he wanted to be there. And then I said to him, so I heard there's driving instructor in town that works with kids that have like driving anxiety. Are you willing to try her? Because we had already done 60 hours of driving. We had
Yeah.
already tried a different driving instructor from a vocational rehab program for him, and that didn't work. And then
Hmm.
this woman just at a regular driving school was the one. But he was willing to try that because he was already in this program gaining confidence that
Hmm.
he hadn't had, a month earlier. And it just bloomed out of nowhere. So besides for him trying driving lessons, I didn't have to keep reminding him, hey, it's Sunday night at 6, you can take the trash out. He just did it.
Wow.
That was his chore in the house, was to take the trash out. But every week our alarms would go off and I'd send him a text, time to take the trash out, time to take the trash out. Like every week we had to remind him. And sometimes he would tell us, no, I can't, I'm
Yeah.
not in the mood, I don't want to.
But
Um,
something just there was a switch that flipped.
Totally. And then we didn't have to remind him anymore. And then he would check all the other garbage cans in the house to make sure he got all the garbage, do the dishes without being asked, find other chores that needed to be done around the house and just do them.
Wow.
Never
And
expected
then
that.
and then you got a job too?
Yeah. And then so his three friends, well, he had three friends in high school. So two of them
Yeah.
said, hey, we're going to move into this house. Do you want to move in with us?
Wow.
And he's like, I don't have a job. They're like, we'll get you a job. So one of
Those are good
their
friends.
they were one of their mothers was a restaurant manager and got him his first job. And he was
Awesome.
working as a dishwasher there and doing that. And it was enough to cover, when you
Yeah.
split the rent three ways, it's
It was
doable.
enough to learn how to show up for work and understand what that feels like.
That's right. And then get himself a new job for $2 more an hour, and then
What
get him
about
a
the
raise
welding?
already. So okay, so here we are. He's still working in the restaurant. I think he really likes the restaurant schedule because he can sleep in.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to, be at work at 7 a.m. Um, but he also said that he doesn't want to do this long term. So I sent him all. So we didn't find welding jobs. They all want him to have a year of experience. But what
Yeah.
I did send him were, links to all the unions around here, the pipe
Sure.
fitters, the sheet metal, all those unions, so that he could do that. And so his plan is to do a couple more months of restaurant work, and have at least 6 months of work experience under his belt, because it all happened so fast, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we started in April, and in June 1st he moved out with a driver's license, with a
Wow.
job, and
Wow.
he was gone, and the program wasn't even over yet, but he had
Yeah.
just
You're taking
taken what
off
you
full
guys were
speed.
teaching. Yeah.
Yeah.
And went with it and still goes with it. And still will call me in a panic when he's having I can't find my keys. I usually hang them up here. I don't know where they went. I can't be late for work. And he doesn't want to be late. And he's never been late except for that one time he couldn't find his keys. It's unbelievable the amount of maturity that has come from him.
Hmm.
He'll call his boss and say, can't find my keys. I'm running a few minutes late.
Huh.
He had two
Yeah.
interviews one week and got a job on Monday. And I said, did you call the interview on Wednesday and tell him you're not coming? He goes, of course I did. What do you think?
Wow. Wow. It's
Okay,
like, I
just
mean,
checking.
we're not therapists, so I don't want to
Right.
say that there was healing that went on, but what I think what it sounds like is we got him, like you said, unstuck, and there was
Yeah.
progress. We were there
Yeah.
to facilitate the progress. I mean, he obviously needs to heal himself and move, and he's found ways to be working on that. But we were able
Right.
to get him to like get back. And Sharon is such a great teacher. I'm so thankful that she's part of what we do, and she'll be on one of my lives in the coming weeks too. So I'm looking forward to that. What What have you learned about the difference between helping a young adult get something done and helping them build the skills to be able to do it themselves?
Yeah. It's nice to be able to be that parent that can help your kid and wants to help your kid. But they don't learn a skill from that. They just learn that their mom or their dad is there to help them with those things. And that's great. You always want your kids to know that. But that doesn't teach them that they can do these things themselves. And
Mm-hmm.
your program taught him. And because confidence, don't ever take confidence out of the title of
I
this.
won't.
Okay. Because like that was what sold me. That's what he needed, was confidence.
Yeah.
And he had to
Yeah.
learn it through the skills you were teaching so that he could be, okay, a year ago, people would say to me, are you sure you don't want to try to get him on disability? Maybe he's just never
Oh
going to be able
no,
to
it's
work a
giving
full
up on
time
him.
job. Yeah,
Yeah.
people really thought that he was that much special ed that he was never going to be able to
Mm.
live on his own. And now he he did it. He did it all, and it's you guys.
Wow.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
him, but
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
it's
No, I
it's the
mean, I
course
appreciate the
and the way
compliment,
you
but
taught. I mean, I guess you're not teaching. You're I don't know what the how to explain that
coaching, mentoring, maybe
coaching.
teaching. There's a
Yeah,
curriculum, Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I'm in the position to be able to sell confidence for your children. How
yep.
fortunate am I that I can confidently show up every day and talk to families and confidently tell them, we want to help your child develop.
Oh, I lost your mic.
You lost it?
Oh, there it is. You must have
Is it back?
leaned on something. Yeah,
I moved too much. I moved in front of the mic. Didn't like
got too
that.
excited talking about how
How,
great Henry did.
I, yeah, I was just saying, I mean, how fortunate I am to be in a position to sell confidence to parents and independence and to be able to
Yep.
say confidently, like, we will help your child build a good feeling of themselves. That is what we're here to do. And we want to mentor it. So, like,
But it's not just a good feeling, it's the ability that they can function in the world. Whatever was holding them back before isn't holding them back after they're in your course.
amazing. So, what's next? You kind of talked about the job, and maybe looking down the line at making a move in the career. What
Mhm.
what does progress look like? What are you hoping for your son now?
I'm hoping that he gets, if he wants to go into welding, I'm hoping that he does that. If I also keep suggesting to him, like take a college class here or there, see how that goes. He's really good at photography.
Mm-hmm.
And so I said, get an associate's degree in that if you want. We can take it one class at a time. The funny
Or
thing is,
or
a
in
lot of
business,
kids like this. What?
yeah. Or take again associates in business, and then be able to use the welding and the photography to build your own sort of,
Right.
you know,
Sure. A whole
do,
business out of that.
put the two things together, weld beautiful things and take pictures of them.
Right. Right.
You know, good luck selling that. That's the hard thing.
Well, and
Artists
that's
are,
it. So for
you
right
know,
now, we're just happy that he has learned how to live on his own,
yeah,
drive, pay his
yeah.
own bills. He's just doing all the things that I thought were going to take many more years.
Wow.
And I'm shocked. And my
And you
house
and
is
I
empty
talked
now.
about. Sorry,
My house is empty now.
there's some quiet. That's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. Um, Yeah, we talked a little bit about the potential of him coming and participating in our independence class if he was ready to like throw his full weight into applying for welding jobs, or if he was ready to go back to get an associate's, that we might have the chance to work together again and support
Right.
him through our independence workshop model. But that right now he was okay, and that's such an amazing feeling that's where we're at. Um, I have one more question for you, Rachel.
Hmm.
Um, and this would be to another parent. And I'm sure that there are parents. I've been talking about this live to several parents I've been talking to this week, about my Ascend cohort that I'm putting together. And so, if there was another parent whose young adult is feeling stuck and trying to figure out what comes next, besides, I would say, like, the core confidence, nice things that you've said, but on a more like parent to parent basis, what would you give that parent advice? Like, you know how would you suggest that they help to facilitate their child kind of unsticking themselves?
I don't think these kids can unstick themselves without some kind of support.
Mm,
And I feel like us parents probably do a little bit enabling for our children because they're a little bit special needs.
mm,
Um, that we enable them and they need to be with somebody else who's not going to do
mm.
that, who's going to has a curriculum to follow, whatever that is, but um, help them move forward without us. Like, because being the parent is great, but somebody else has to teach them how to be themselves.
That's so interesting. I hear you saying that, um, finding more resources for your child and helping find the right thing that's going to get your kid feeling some momentum and getting encouragement and guidance and support through all that. Yeah, that's really cool. I really appreciate you saying that, and I really appreciate that Onward Rising and Core Confidence was just that for your son, for Henry.
Yes.
Um, and on top of that, I appreciate you. So you told me that you would um, shout it from the treetops or something like that if
I
the
sure
progress
have.
continued. And so
I
thank you
sure
for coming
have.
here tonight. You don't have to shout. Everyone can hear you. We've got the internet as our platform. So thank you for coming on here tonight and being a part of that. Um, I'm looking to see if there were any comments. No, nothing necessarily. Thank you, Fawn, for dialing in and being supportive. Thank you, Rachel, for being here tonight again with me and making time. Um, and yeah, I really appreciate it, and I look forward to hearing more about Henry's victories. You could reach out anytime and
Okay, I will.
give me happy Henry updates, and I will be happy to receive those. Okay.
Okay, awesome. Thanks.
All right. Thank you so
You
much.
guys are
Have a good night.
best. All right, take care.
Take care.